Murphy, if you were a godfather in politics in Nigeria, you always want to be relevant.
No, but why should I be a godfather? The people should be the godfathers.
So we're in trouble.
No, they are in trouble.
Okay.
They are in trouble because we have to contextualize this trouble. This is Rivers' trouble. And Rivers to Lagos is about 8 hours, plus bad roads 10 or 12.
Godfatherism in politics is a national, is a worldwide phenomenon. Except that in our country, Nigeria, Godfatherism gives you the impression it is a substitute for democracy. Let's go to Rivers State. What is playing out in Rivers State is so mind-boggling that you are wondering what's happening with our democracy. And for that matter, you ask, is there any such thing as a Nigerian type democracy? If the answer is yes, what shape does it take? This evening, I have two gentlemen to broach the subject matter with me. From my far left, I have Kunu Adeni, broadcaster, communications expert. Kunu, I greet you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program today.
Murphy Abadoni is a political commentator and also a public affairs analyst. Murphy, good evening to you.
Good evening, Jones.
Yeah. Kunu, River State was created by military fiat on May 27, 1967. So River State is as old as Nigeria in a manner of speaking.
Yes, please.
So you expect River State as a rich state after Lagos, to have a political sophistry, but that's not playing out because River State has produced some of the eggheads in this country. I cannot forget the first military governor of the state on creation. Mm-hmm. What's his name? Date is Alfred. Date is brief. Yeah, they are great men and women.
Yes, please.
So in 2023,
yes,
River State is a far cry from the River State we used to know.
When the value of a thing is not understood, abuse is inevitable. And that is why history must become an intrinsic part of people's study. If you check how the royals are brought up in every clime of the world, they are brought up with a consciousness of superiority, of honor, of regard, of dignity, and they don't send them to the schools attended by every other person because there has to be a deliberate acculturation of such persons. These things don't happen oftentimes within the political space of the country. If you look at Rivers, you're talking about 1967. Rivers was created at the birth of the Civil War. And when it got created, Rivers State played a huge part in the Civil War. So perhaps it was born into mystery and misery and problem, and that has made it so checkered up until now.
A child of circumstance.
A child of circumstance. So there are times maybe Rivers need to do metaphysical cleansing of what affected it in its birth and what has continued to actually bedevil it as a state that should do better. No other state in this country, I think maybe Akwa Ibom and some others, Rivers State is one of the top 3 states in this country with the highest number of oil wells. But Rivers State also accounts for the highest level of soot released into the atmosphere. Yeah. After Lagos, for many years, Rivers State has...
No thanks to so-called illegal refining and all that.
Yeah, but that also cannot be compared to the kind of refineries where you have, and people flare gas, because Rivers State has also been earmarked as one of the places where such cleaning will be done, but particularly occasioned by the kind of practices even legitimate entities undertake there. But what has to be said is this, please. The people of Rivers do not understand their history and their pivotal place in this country. Rivers State is the only state in this country that has 2 refineries. And that is indicative of the place of pride it holds. In fact, every time we talk about Delta State and the pride that people cry about Warri Refinery and the unproductive refinery in Kaduna, people think we're not... Rivers State doesn't understand its history. And that is why Rivers State continues to do what it does to itself, and it's a repeated mess. I think that there's a lot that must happen. In the first place, Fubara, who is the executive governor of the state and supposedly accountable to the people, should at the moment put his feet down. Everything that must be done to prevent his impeachment. Don't forget, but for judicial intervention, maybe Fubara would have not been the governor still. I'm saying here that there are lots of things that the government must do. I hope that he survives this. If he survives this and he returns, he has a duty with faith, destiny, and posterity to block all the holes that allow every predecessor to feel that the state belongs to them, and to also prevent himself from being like the man that is haunting his spirit, soul, and body at the moment. Because people don't learn from history. Everything that Murphy said here is true. That from the days, for instance, of even the predecessor of Amechi, let's remind ourselves that Peter Odili never wanted Amechi. Right from the era of the primary, even if Peter Odili happened to be a calmer person, a more civilized person, Amechi is quite vicious as much as Wike, the person that is sired to get to where he is today. So oftentimes, it seems as if this deja vu happens because these people really have very, very poor memory of remembering what they did. And that is why things go. People should understand deeper issues. Seeds are our attitudes, seeds are our actions. And it comes to germinate because we definitely water our seeds by the things we do. So when we see all of this that we have happening, it is simply because many of the political warheads in that state still do not understand that these issues that are happening are issues that they can avoid. Fubara now has an opportunity. For every governor from Amechi, there's always been one problem or the other. Very serious problem of transiting from one administration or from one person to the other. And don't forget that this is the first time in Nigeria's Fourth Republic that somebody from an opposition party will be appointed a minister of the Federal Capital Territory. So it becomes a peculiar case that if Wike, for instance, that has equal power as Fubara, is troubling the life and destinies of the current company of the state, then it tells you a lot. So I think that Fubara must hold his own and prevent his life from being strangulated in office.
In other words, he must leave the shadows of Wike.
Yes, he must face the real pictures
not an
of
easy
the,
thing
of the
to
people
do.
of River State.
Murphy, this is the first time in 22, 23 years that somebody from the Riverine area will be governor in the state. And so you are wondering if this is more or less a kind of something that haunts the state. For instance, I recall easily that Asari Dokubo, Soboma George, Boylo are some of the what do you call them?
Militants.
Militants, warlords thrown up by the he mentioned the Odili government and so on. And so River State is no longer the garden state, not the treasure trove of the country.
Jones, it all boils down to the fact that, like I said earlier, Nigerian politicians don't learn. Nigerian politicians are the only people who don't learn. And unfortunately or fortunately for them, they keep having their ways. If you take your mind back to 1999, for instance, because that was exactly when, during the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, cropped up this set of politicians that we have today. That was when the Odelis, the Boris of this world, the Lucky Gbinedio of Edo
Were thrown up
and all that. There were a lot of them that were just opportunists, mere opportunists, people who shouldn't have had any business with governance at all. For one way or another, they became. Some of them were abroad doing taxes and all that because they know somebody that knows somebody. One way or the other, some of them were brought into Nigeria, made governors almost instantaneously. And that is still haunting us today because they were the people who brought some of these persons that have brought some of these persons that we have in power today. What am I trying to say? I'm saying that if all things being equal, if you become a governor through the wishes of the people of the states,
if you were indeed elected indeed,
by the votes of the electors of that state,
yeah.
And if you have in mind that you have a tenure of 4 years to perform in order to be able to win election for a second term to do another 4 years, then you should not bother about who succeeds you.
Yeah.
Just do the bidding of the people, observe the laws of the states, and remove your eyes from the treasury of the states. Because the reason why people are interested in who succeeds them is because they have things to hide. If you don't have anything to hide, it shouldn't be your business which will succeed you. Allow, in a situation whereby somebody is buying forms for those that will succeed you.
And openly telling the world.
Nigerian democracy is so sweet. Nigerian politics is so sweet because so many people do things and walk away scot-free.
Yeah.
A young man who left school around 1999, finished youth service, became a politician, became local chairman, became chief of staff to Amechi, suddenly today could boast that he did this, he did that, which whose money?
And
do you know that Wike is one of the few Nigerian politicians that has not worked anywhere? He has no history of having worked anywhere.
Interestingly, Wike is a lawyer.
Yes,
so
he's a
you
lawyer.
expect him to know a bit of the law.
No, knowing the law is an entirely different thing from doing what the law says you should do. I've had lawyers in government who never did anything better. So one thing is to know the law, one thing is to do according to the law. Does Wike really act like a lawyer today? The answer is no. And beyond that, I'm saying that the interest of the state, the interest of the people should always come first. Once that is done, whoever succeeds you shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, Kunu, in Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power,
Yes, please.
3 major laws will come to mind here. First is, Oga is the master. Never outshine the master. That's not law number 1. Law number 3, don't show your hand too soon. Law number 5, reputation is everything. Protect it. So, again, let me quote Napoleon Bonaparte. He said, in politics, stupidity is not a handicap. Are you seeing anything? You see what I'm seeing?
You quoted 3 relevant laws. I'm privileged to have a copy of that book. And I think anybody who wants to enter the murky waters of leadership, politics, economy, diverse fields should get a copy and read it religiously, as if you are reading for what will keep you alive. And when you're talking about law number 3, I think one of the laws that talks about organ master, don't shine
your master.
I think Fubara has not even outshone him. So we can actually place that law aside. But let's look at number 5. Don't show your hand too early.
No, number 3.
Number 3, I beg pardon. Don't show your hand too early.
Soon.
That too soon is actually what is haunting Fubara right now.
Only 5 months after?
You cannot show your hand too early. See, we always talk about 12 cycles. When we talk about 12 cycles, we're talking about 12 months of the year. Oftentimes when things like that happen, let me tell you, in every favor of the world, deep researchers tell you that you need to use at least a year. A year will enable you to be able to what? To actually give and take. You've not given anything, you've only taken. So Fubara is paying the price. So I'm simply saying here that Fubara himself has not read something. Listen, before the election brought him to power, the EFCC was looking for him because there was about 107 billion that could not be accounted for. Wike used all forms of
course, Fubara was the accountant general.
Most definitely. So yes, Wike used every means available
to cover him.
And the courts, in their own, I don't know, maybe they were dazed.
Wisdom.
They were dazed by the judicial superiority of whoever Wike employed, and they couldn't even arrest Fubara up until he got the form and became the party candidate or aspirant to run after he became the candidate or before he became the candidate.
Kunu were in trouble.
No, they are in trouble.
Okay.
They are in trouble because we have to contextualize this trouble. This is Rivers trouble. And Rivers to Lagos is about 8 hours plus bad roads 10 or 12. So they are in the trouble now. They've not brought it to us. So I'm simply saying that Fubara doesn't understand basics. You cannot be favored and you don't wait for a year calendar to go. He doesn't understand deep things. So he's paying for, he's not even having a copy of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. That's another one. So I'm simply saying that of all the laws, you refer to 3, and don't forget, if you show your hand too early, they cut it. So the hand is already injured right now. I pray it doesn't lose the finger. That is what is happening right now.
Okay, I hear we must go on a break. We should be back. This is Homo Politicos on Enterprise TV. Please stay with us. Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. All right, folks, welcome back to Homo Politicos on Enterprise TV, Lagos. And we're looking at the River State political imbroglio. And I still have Murphy Abadoni and Kunu Adeni guesting. Yeah, gentlemen, what's happening in River State is a metaphor for what's going on around the country. Kunu talked about a Nigerian type democracy, and I think you echoed the sentiment. How different should a Nigerian type democracy be from a universal democratic practice?
Well, Jones.
Look at the tenets of democracy.
Yes. But first of all, I don't even think that democracy should just have a particular direction at which it must be practiced. What is important is the basics.
Yeah, Murphy, if democracy means a government of the people, by the people, and for the people,
yes,
in practice, it should the three
reflect.
elements must be seen.
Yes,
because here the emphasis is on the people, people, because governments exist for the benefit of the people and not the other way around.
On paper, in Nigeria.
Whose paper?
In paper, in our law books, it is so.
The experts' paper.
But in practice, it is the opposite. That is what we are seeing almost everywhere, and that is why we have these challenges. Remember, previously somebody talked about almost the same issue. Somebody tried to bring in the judiciary and bring in all what's me. And I keep saying, if Nigerian politicians will learn to behave well, 90% of our problems will naturally die, because we have a society where politicians will deliberately create problems, disorganize the people, disorganize the society, and come back to present a fake solution. Look at, after every 4 years, does it not shock you that almost every person that has participated in the election goes to court? Even the man that is 100% sure that has lost will go to court and will expect the judiciary to perform magic in his favor.
Yeah, but you are told, your attorney would tell you with all certainty, okay, let's go to court, we have a good case.
First of all, politicians are the ones who approach their lawyers. Let's get that established. And when you approach your lawyer, a lawyer has come to school, a lawyer has spent money to study law, and his duty is to represent you. So if you come to approach your lawyer, why shouldn't you? But the point is beyond that. We are saying that our politicians must learn to put the interests of the people first. Like you have defined democracy. That was what I was taught in secondary school, as early as maybe SS1 or so. Every student then would define democracy. But when we grow older and we now discover that it is the opposite here, an average politician here wants to grab power. And don't just want to grab power, he wants to grab power and retain power even after his tenure in office. And that is where we have landed where we are. That is why
Murphy, if you were a godfather in politics in Nigeria, you always want to be relevant.
No, but why should I be a godfather in the first place? That is the problem. Why should I be a godfather? The people should be the godfathers.
Yeah.
The people who have the PVCs, if what is being able, those are the people that should decide who should rule, and those are the people that should decide who should lose an election, and who should win an election, and who should succeed who.
Yeah.
But because we believe in manipulating the system here, that is why people are fighting to be godfather. For you to be a godfather, it means you have some things to cover.
Kuno, we are looking at the law of rule and the rule of law here. It appears the law of rule is taking precedence. Look at the 1999 Constitution as amended. If the provision, however, even though it's contentious, if we followed the letters of that Constitution properly, we won't be in trouble, or would we?
Well, I think that if the foundation of anything is faulty, no matter how you try to build on it, it's a problem. I've always had issues with the formulation process of the 1999 Constitution, especially because it was sired into existence by military administration. And no matter how people want to justify the fact that we have a constitution we should follow, I think that the foundation of the constitution of 1999 is faulty. But that's
Is our problem constitutional?
the problem is constitutional because there are people who essentially feel that the constitution is not allowing the respective regions of this country to actually operate as a properly federated system.
Kunu, but I put it to you that we have had 10 constitutional conferences and 10 conferences reports. What happened with them or to them?
It usually gathers dust because we forget easily in this country. For many things that gets done with conferences, even the last one done by former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, it gathered dust. Don't forget that the APC in 2018 told us they want to put a committee together to know the definition of federalism, federation, and all that. 2018 August report has been out. El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, headed that committee. To date, we don't have anything. I'm saying that there's a penchant for wanting to get documents out, but it gathers dust. And I think that that's one part of the problem. But if we look at the constitution really, and to actually come to the angle where you're taking it to, if the constitution that we have, even if the amended constitution now, since we don't have another one yet, let's resort to it. If we tried as much as possible to follow some of the guidelines of the constitution as laid down, it could work. But again, it's another problem here. This constitution is very, very weak. It is weak because we've had indications or we've had verdicts given based on this constitution oftentimes that are not respected.
Kunu, we have had a number of constitutional amendments.
Yes, please.
We're still where we are.
No. You see, this amendment, let me say this, at the 8th or the 9th Assembly, they were supposed to amend the constitution so that they liberate all the local governments in this country. Lagos, that has a sovereign...
Liberate from where? From what?
From their governors. Local governments from their governors.
Strangleholds.
Yeah, the strangleholds. I thank you very much. When it came to Lagos Assembly, the Lagos lawmakers refused to assent to a document that will let local governments be free from the stranglehold of their governors. It tells you that some of those amendments, if it doesn't favor certain people, they don't do anything to it. Okay, we've been talking in this country about legislation and actually taking a lot of things from the exclusive list to the residual. The discussion is on for years. Every day this same government tells you that it is not possible to do that. It is not possible. Now they are still there.
No, Kuno, but may I just chip this in?
Yes, please.
Generation of electricity has been removed from the exclusive to the concurrent.
No, this is it, sir. That's what the problem
that's one.
No.
And two.
Yes, please.
What is the other one? But the states can now generate electricity.
No, I'm simply saying this, that before you even say states can generate, what are the systems put in place to allow states catch up from the backwardness of over 60 years? That is one thing. But let me tell you this. The Petroleum Industry Act is a case in point. For over 15 years or 16, there were repeated legislations to allow the bill to become an act. Under the former president, I think 2 years before he left office, they were able to make it an act. They were supposed to immediately implement it. They said no, they cannot. That administration left office, another one came. As we speak, the NNPC that became NNPCL, that cannot actually meet its OPEC quota of 14 million barrels per day, that is still dilly-dallying between 1.5 to 1 point whatever, is the same one that is operating a newly nomenclatured NNPCL when it doesn't have capacity. So as we speak, they told us today, no, it's a needful digression. I'm coming to the fact that we can go through processes of amendment and everything. Only today, we got told that the Dangote refinery that they took Nigerian taxpayers' money to build, the so-called loan, will likely have to go to Venezuela or Saudi Arabia for crude. And we are talking about a country that felt we are doing things right for the people. So it is one of the many indicators of how the case of Rivers will continue to be a front burner issue of illegality, because the basis of following processes, we don't go through it and exhaust it.
Murphy, in taking this home, therefore.
But let me
hold on.
disagree with Kunu that
Before you disagree.
No, it's not because it is. No, it is in the implementation of the laws that we have. We have a very beautiful set of laws.
I don't understand.
Oh, I will have
I don't understand.
Kuno, otherwise,
Yes.
Nigeria's problem is not constitutional.
Well, your opinions
It
are
is not.
valid in their right. My opinion is valid. Tell me how many regions of this country sat at the formulation table of this constitution. The second chapter tells you, we the people, now where they gather.
Yeah, Kuno, in which case,
Yes, sir.
Murphy, Nigerian type democracy, which he's trying to sell to me, is warped.
I agree. The problem is in us, we the Nigerians and our leaders.
Yeah. The problem is
not allow our constitution to work. If you take a look at our constitution and some other bylaws, they are a beautiful set of laws.
Oh yeah.
But the issue is, will our politicians allow these things to play out?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. There was a time a lady did a contract. My friend's mother did a contract, was not paid. She went to meet her brother-in-law, who was a judge. And the man was like, okay, if you come to my court and I give you judgment against the police, who is going to implement it?
The
Okay,
police.
you could come to my
police.
court. Yes, because she did some supplies to the police and they refused to pay her. So even if you get a court judgment, who is going to implement it? And that is exactly why we are where we are.
So
And
our problem is anything but constitutional.
not the constitution.
It's attitudinal.
Attitudinal. The reason why everybody wants to exploit everybody. Look at the closest example. If you drive at night, you see policemen on black and black exploiting Nigerians. Is that what the law says?
Sorry, I'd like to do this. My apologies, please. Murphy.
Yeah.
If the people that are to be bound by a constitution see that constitution as what they were part of, they know readily that they are bound by it. Many of them don't see, for instance, if the job people of this country were at the formulation table of a constitution, there is a sense of belonging and the fact that they need to adhere to the provisions of that constitution. It is at the foundation of the disregard for this constitution where people, for instance, feel we can't obey it and they just violate verdict based on premise of that constitution.
Kunu, the federal character
Commission.
The federal character principle is embedded in the constitution.
How much of that is respected?
I should have asked you.
I wanted to say that, for instance, Bichi, the former, I think the former Nigerian intelligence agency head, was accused of the quota given to the north and the quota given to the south in respect of employment. If the federal character principle is there,
it is there. It is there.
I'm saying it is there in the sense of its application. Because it could be there in the sense of its being talked about, in the sense of its application. Excuse me, Rivers State is only one of the reflections of the skewed documents with which this country is administered and the disregard for its application. And I stand by it any day. I respect your opinion.
We can't go to court over this.
Let's try to respect our laws and we'll move forward. Somebody will tell you, if you take the Nigerian law to America and bring the American law here, the Nigerians will mess up the American law, and the Americans will obey the Nigerian law and use it for the benefit
the
of
Americans will not allow the kind of federalism we are
Murphy and Kunu, the intention is not to. The intention is not.
Quickly, Kunu, don't forget that there are countries today in the world that do not even have a written law.
But they are guided.
They are doing well as a society.
I'm saying that.
So if you have a set of people who are lawless, no matter how beautiful
are we a lawless
what is the evolutionary process of those countries? Would we say that the British people suffered in the hands of the Romans the same way many African countries suffer through colonization?
Our stories don't necessarily have to be the same.
But they are essential part of our experience.
But the focus, especially in this 21st century, is that every society should endeavor to make their societies better.
Murphy, I'm wondering, sitting here, what would have happened to Moses' 10 commandments if they went to the National Assembly? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yes, of course, it will have been messed up as well.
Okay. I hear we must pack it all in here.
It's okay.
We can't exhaust everything in one breath. Homo Politicos will return next week at the same time. Please stay and keep us company. This is Enterprise TV, Lagos. And so on behalf of Kunu Adeni,
Thank you very much.
Murphy Abadoni,
It's my pleasure.
this is Citizen Jones Hussein saying bye-bye. Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.